Today's patio chat is being brought to you locally by Westridge Furniture in Delphus. See it all at your finer outdoor furniture store.
Well, you can see these guys out and about around the Buckeye State. We've got to talk about a box turtle joining us today, Sarah Schott. She's, of course, the wildlife communications specialist of the Division of Wildlife. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having me and my special visitor.
Yes, that's a special visitor. Have we named him, or is it a boy, a girl? Do we know that?
So this is a boy. This is a woodland box turtle. And so this is a boy. And fun fact, the way you can tell is if you get a good look at his eyes when we'll get him out here, and maybe he'll stick his head out. Depends up to him whether or not he likes to be shy or not.
Okay.
But if you take a close look at his eye, it's a reddish color, like reddish orange.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they're pale, sometimes they're bright, and that is characteristic of the males. So that is how you tell a male box turtle. And their name comes from this part of their shell here. And you kind of saw it when I picked him up. He got a little shy, but this hinges up and closes up like a box. And so that is where their name comes from and why we call them box turtles. And the woodland part comes from because these guys are a terrestrial turtle. So they obviously need water to survive.
Okay.
But they don't really like water. Like they don't live in a pond or a marsh or things like that. They live in the woods. They live in forested areas. So they're what we call a terrestrial box turtle.
So is that unusual for a turtle to like live in the woods and not around the water?
Not, it just depends on the turtle, right?
Okay,
It just depends on the species. There's several other terrestrial turtles, in the United States and the world. But this is our one that we have here in Ohio.
All right. So these poor guys, some people like to take them, huh? Let's talk more about how they're kind of dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, so this poor guy here was actually confiscated in New York. And he, along with 5 other turtles, were on their way to China in the illegal pet trade. So he was taken from Ohio, was confiscated in New York, and then was on the way to China. And people like to have these guys as pets, but it's not a good idea. They're very charismatic, they're very cute, and we all want one as a pet, right? But it is really harmful to their populations to take one out of the wild and keep it as a pet. It is highly illegal. These guys and turtles, the general kind of trend for a lot of our turtles is that they're declining because habitat loss is a big one. Ohio used to be 95% forest. So we used to have these turtles all over the state. Most of our populations that we have of them now are in southern Ohio where we have our trees. We do have some in the oak openings region, but we don't have very many up here in northwest Ohio.
That's sad.
But their other biggest threat is that illegal pet trade. So people taking them from the wild and keeping them as pets or selling them as pets.
Okay.
So it's really important that if you see one of these guys or any of our turtles, any of our wildlife species, really, that we leave them where they're at and we don't pick them up.
Right, don't touch them. That's what you always talk about. Yeah, but I know, like before, people have said, "Well, I saw one crossing the road and I wanted to help it."
Yes.
Just leave it alone, let it cross the road.
Yeah, so you can help them cross the road if you see any of these guys. We always want to move a turtle in the direction it's headed. If you decide, the turtle's going that way, but I'm going to put him over there, he's just going to go right back across.
Oh, is he? Okay.
So we always want to move them in the direction they're headed and just move them to the other side of the road. Don't pick them up and take them to somewhere else where you think they might need to be, because this guy knows where he's headed, and where we think they should be is not always where they should be. So some people will say, "Oh, I found a turtle," and a box turtle is a great example. I saw a box turtle, but there was no water around, so I picked him up and I moved it to a pond. Well, not all turtles live in ponds.
Right.
And some turtles are headed to different locations based on if it's breeding season or their food needs.
Right, yeah. Speaking of breeding, so like, can we help by just leaving them alone and like, will they, do they lay eggs and stuff like that? That's how we get new turtles?
Yeah, that's how we get new turtles. These guys lay eggs. They dig holes in the ground and lay eggs. So similar to sea turtles, if you've heard about them coming up at the beach and laying their eggs in the sand, and then the babies go off into the ocean. Obviously, our box turtle babies are not going off into the ocean or Lake Erie or anything like that, but they do lay their eggs underground. And what's actually super cool about turtles, and I forget what the threshold is, but the ground temperature will determine if the turtles that hatch are going to be male or female. So if it's a cooler temperature underground, they'll hatch and be males because boys are cool. And if it's a higher temperature, it'll be females because girls are hot. That's what I tell the kids all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But he was wandering around in the grass, so I mean, he does like to move. He's not like a real slow motion turtle or whatever. He's a pretty good mover.
Yeah. Some of our turtles are actually quite fast. Like, have you ever seen a snapping turtle or big biggest turtle. When they want to move, they will move very quickly. But a lot of times they take their time. They kind of stick their head up like he's doing now and look around and kind of take everything in.
What does he typically eat?
So in the wild, these guys eat a variety of like fruits and nuts and things. They're primarily herbivores. And a box turtle's favorite food is actually a mayapple. So it is a fruit that comes out in early spring, and it grows on the ground. It shoots up a little leaf that kind of looks like an umbrella.
And he'll eat
then
that,
a little mini apple comes out, and they just come up and pluck them off.
Awesome stuff. All right, leave the box turtles alone. Thanks for coming today, Sarah.
Thank you.
Don't go away. New Tradition continues in a moment.